A blessed Advent to you.
And a blessed Advent to you, Monsignor. Getting ready for Advent, not Christmas music.
Yes, yes.
So this is a Christmas song.
Well, no, this is an Advent
song. My bad.
People look east.
Yep.
And this really should be the music we hear at the beginning of the season. And before I start singing, I'll turn it. No, this past Sunday we celebrated Christ, the King of the Universe, which is the last Sunday of our liturgical year. We have a liturgical year calendar that has been beautifully designed by, I believe, LDP. And if you look for Advent, Advent is the very beginning, right here. And although this is this year's liturgical calendar, we should be getting a new one soon. It is the 4 weeks of Advent. And although we're not in Advent yet, we thought we'd have our first session of our Advent series before, so we could talk about the Advent wreath.
Yeah, how to get ready and have your supplies ready for this coming Sunday.
So that you could make your own Advent wreath or prepare it. But it's important to realize what Advent is about, because it's more than just the wreath and the beautiful color of violet, a bluish violet, not like Lent, which is more of a reddish or orange violet. And basically Advent is a season of the church where we prepare for the coming of Christ. And the coming of Christ in 3 ways. The reason why I said people look east is because when Christ comes a second time, we are to look to the east. He will come from the east. And we look to the east because we believe Jesus will come a second time. And so that is the first coming of Christ that we reflect on. And so the beginning of Advent has readings that remind us that we are to wait for Christ. And we wait for Christ by doing our good works, our acts of charity, our acts of justice, and our acts of peace.
And prayer.
And prayer.
Extra prayer.
Extra prayer. And especially this year, as our entire world seems to be experiencing another surge of the virus, it is so important we do not despair, but we turn to prayer and to our faith to give us the courage to hold our families together, our communities together in preparation for the coming of Jesus.
And the word Advent means?
Adventus, to come, to approach, to arrive. And so that's where we get the word Advent. And we still use it too. I mean, in some areas, the advent of a new age, the advent.
That was the phrase that came to my head.
The advent of new technology. Mm-hmm. You would use that term. We use it for the advent of a second coming of Jesus. Mm-hmm. So
we're going to build a wreath, okay? Arts and crafts time. This is what I got a master's for. Actually, the theology students used to say that we were crayons and balloons because we were studying pastoral ministry. But for reals, this is the practical stuff. We didn't learn how to make Advent wreaths in school. This is something I've done since I was a kid. So you have a wreath. Monsignor has a cheap wreath that I bought from Autumn for like $5 or something. And that's something you can get, anywhere really. And then I have this nice wreath that was gifted to me about 20 years ago, and I've been using the whole time.
And that has Celtic symbols around it.
It does. It has Celtic scrolling and, nice candle holders, nice solid ones. So we have the Advent wreath is exactly what it sounds like. It's a wreath. It's a circle to remind us of God's eternal presence and also our hope that we will be with God in heaven forever. It's unending, that circle. We have green.
My green had a spider in it. Hold on. Okay.
I was holding those. I went out and clipped these from the front of the parish And that's what I would do every year. We go out, get the Advent wreath ready, get our candles, which I'll talk about in a second, ready, and then just go outside and clip what you like. Evergreens, so that they stay fresh, but also evergreens because it's a reminder of our unending, unfading hope and the life that will be unending that God offers us. So we found some pine, some holly, some of this.
What's
I like to
this?
get different textures and stuff. I don't know, it was out front. It had a little berry on it, so I was thinking maybe bayberry.
Looks good.
Yeah, so I like to get different textures and different types to put in the wreath. And if you have the kind that Monsignor has, I put it on a plate because that's easy. Mine has to have a plate because otherwise everything will fall through the bottom. And but you could also use a glue gun. If you're allergic to actual greens, you can buy fake ones and put them on. I have little fake things here too.
We have a holly bush on our property.
Yes, it's right behind the
Oh, the Blessed Mother.
Yep.
Okay. See, I notice these things.
Yeah, clearly. So I like to build layers. Again, layers of texture and color. But so the kind that Monsignor has, you could, if you were going to use fake materials, you could hot glue it, or you could get wire and strap it on. But we just decorate it nice. Now halfway through Lent, either like the third week or sometimes the fourth, depending on how well my greens stay, I go out and freshen it up. I get new greens and put them in just to, because they do eventually fall when they don't have any moisture. But I got berries because they look so pretty. And then besides these little pretty greens, you can also decorate it with bows. Advent is its own season. It is not the same thing as Christmas, but we are in preparation for Christmas. So a lot of the decorations reflect that, especially on our Advent wreath. We can reflect the hope and the joy that we're looking for. Gotta get that away from where the flame is gonna be.
I remember my first Advent wreath I made in school.
Oh yeah?
I went to a Catholic grade school, and we were able to make Advent wreaths.
Did you make them out of paper or actual materials?
Really, we were told to bring in a styrofoam.
Oh yeah, styrofoam works
Styrofoam.
too. Yeah.
And we also brought in like plastic greens, and now this is going back to the Dark Ages, so they didn't have really, this stuff in silk or anything. And we made our Advent wreath, and I used it at home. We brought it home, and we used it at dinner time.
That's what we would do. We always light our candles during dinner. And you were saying that the Advent wreath began
The Advent
as a
wreath
home
really began at home. Families would have it. And then it made it into the church. And today, well, not this Advent, but in past Advents, at Mass, they would have a ritual lighting of the Advent wreath. We do a blessing of the Advent wreath. This year, we will bless the Advent wreath on the first Sunday of Advent, which is this Sunday, the 29th. And then we will, but each of the Sundays after that, it'll just be lit with all the candles.
Okay. And I have a little Advent wreath blessing from the household blessings that I will post in the comment section here. So the Advent wreath isn't just a wreath to look pretty, it's also a timepiece. As Monsignor mentioned, we light one candle, another candle each week to tell us where we are in Advent. So Monsignor's thing is pretty tight. I think that will hold the candles. But here's a little trick. If you have, this kind of helps contain the wax, but also if you have like wide candle holders like I do, every year I got to get a little piece of foil, wrap it around the bottom, and poke it in, and that keeps it in place. And you don't really see it, you can kind of push it down. You don't have to worry about what order you put the candles in because you light them how you light them. But we have 3 purple and 1 pink. Monsignor mentioned it was a more bluey purple because as we get close to the winter solstice, we see that the days are getting shorter and the blue the purple that we see here is like reflected in the colors of nature, in the sky, the evening sky,
My favorite.
and pink.
Rose.
So
You know, some people are so incorrigible.
I am incorrigible.
And
He met me.
where rose comes from.
Oh yes, talk about that.
Well,
The dawn.
as Jen mentioned, the bluish violet is really the beginning of the sunrise. Before the sun comes over the horizon, there's always like the beginning of this very faint bluish violet strip along the horizon. And then before the sun actually crests the horizon, then you see a rose. And a lot of people love, in fact, I notice a lot of rose sunsets and a lot of rose sunrises. And part of that is because of all the clouds, but it is where the medieval church found the colors for Advent. And I know that shortly after the council, we began experimenting with blue as a color, a liturgical color for Advent. But it's not really blue. It's although historically there was in England a snail that once they crushed the shells, it gave off like a bluish violet dye, and they call that serum blue. But that's not periwinkle blue, navy blue, or baby blue. That's almost a blue.
You gotta crush snails if you want that one.
You have to have a special snail.
Yeah, you gotta go to England and crush snails.
Yes. So, and if you're going to go to England, do more than just crush snails. But what happens is that these are natural colors. So it's the beginning of the sunrise, and then right before we see the sun, that rose color that brightens the horizon. And to the medieval mind, it was before Christ comes. That's the joy we know. The sun is coming.
Yes. And so purple also in our church reminds us of the kingship of Jesus, because that's a color of royalty in the Roman Empire, and that's where Jesus grew up. So we just celebrated, we finish our season, our liturgical year, with the celebration of our Lord Jesus Christ, King of the universe. And we're reminded in here that what we're waiting for is our King to return, like the return of the King. And also the I'm getting as many like
You are
in here.
really going.
I really am ham. I'm going ham. So and then the rose, again looking for that the joy of the dawn, or the the hope that comes with morning, the resurrection. But the rose in our tradition is a color of joy. And so the as we go along the calendar, the first week is purple. So if you're going to do this as in your family's home, if you have say family dinners together or whatever family time you have, that's a nice time to make this the centerpiece and kind of have the candles lit while you're doing it. Candle lit is lovely. So first Sunday of Advent, and then the whole week of the first week of Advent, you light this candle each day. The second, or whichever, this one doesn't matter. You're gonna go one way or another. And if you accidentally light this one, who cares? It doesn't matter. But you light a purple one, and that is for the first week. The second week, you light the first one and the second one, that second Sunday of Advent. And then the third week, we go here, and we celebrate the joy of the Advent season, because we're almost there. And we do the same thing in Lent. We call this one Gaudete Sunday, and the one in Lent is Laetare Sunday, and that happens on the 5th Sunday of Lent. So it's like we're almost at the finish line there, and we have that anticipatory joy of Jesus is coming. And then we go back to the fourth one just to keep us grounded, remind us that this is still the Advent season, and we still have to prepare our hearts. And there are lots of different ways we can prepare our hearts. Monsignor and I were talking before about, he was saying he saw that there was this little manger thing that you could do. And I said, oh, we used to do that when we were kids. My dad had this little manger in a bag of hay, and this little plastic Jesus who didn't make his debut until Christmas Eve. And each night at dinner, because we always had family dinners, we would light the Advent candles. And then after dinner, prayer was part of our family tradition too, though. It was we did a lot of prayers, but we would go around the table and pass the baggie, and everybody would say one good deed that they did, and then put a piece of straw in the manger, so that by the time Christmas comes, if you have, a good deed every day, that manger is full and ready to receive Jesus. Just like Monsignor said, part of Advent is doing acts of justice, acts of kindness, and that helps to prepare our hearts for the coming of Jesus too. So then that Christmas Eve, Jesus shows up, and actually I think he used to go in the middle of our Advent wreath eventually.
There are a lot of different ways in which you can observe the days of Advent, because even the readings of Advent focus us on what we're talking about. As I mentioned before, there's the second coming of Christ. There's also the coming of Jesus to us through the church, through prayer, through the sacraments, through one another, and then finally that last period. And we're going to break them open as we move through this season on our other sessions. But we hope that you will use this time not just to worry about what we can't do this season, but what we can do in our homes to make our homes what the church calls the domestic church. That each home should be a sacred place where family and individuals can meet Christ, especially during this time. Another is an Advent calendar.
And there are many types. I have two. One of them is a Reese's calendar, and one of them is a cheese calendar, because my fiance knows how to get to my heart. He bought me both of those.
There's also calendars with chocolates.
Chocolate, well, that's the Reese's one. It's Reese's Pieces.
And there's also a calendar with scripture quotes.
Mm-hmm.
There's also calendars. There's
Wine.
also the wine calendar. I haven't seen it, but I've heard it.
I've seen it, but I didn't buy it.
Thank God. But there are ways in which we can count down to Christmas.
Well, I was going to say that another Advent calendar. This is an Advent calendar too.
Yes.
But another one is you get a box and you fill it every day. You add another item that you can give to the poor. So like canned goods, socks, toiletries, stuff like that. So every day you put another item into that, so that by the time Christmas comes, you'll be able to donate that box full of goods to the poor.
And we will take such boxes here at the Co-Cathedral.
Oh yeah, if you want to donate whole boxes, good thinking, Monsignor.
Yes.
We'll get them to the places that they need to go.
So, because especially this past weekend, I couldn't believe all the food that came in through the front door, as well as all the food that came in for the Thanksgiving baskets.
Yeah.
And during this season of Thanksgiving, let us give thanks to God for the generous hearts of so many people, and the ability to come together, even over the computer, to keep our faith strong so that we can meet the trials that are before us. I know there's a lot of talk about the vaccines, but there's still going to be time we need to take it easy, wear our masks, wash our hands, social distancing, and hopefully, be Christ's presence in the world.
Absolutely. And the letters to Santa box will be out until this weekend, I believe.
Yes.
And
Well, there's also
Yeah, I
our
wanted to-
drive-by.
Yes, but the letters to Santa box, I heard a couple of people come in and ask where are the Christmas trees, the little tags, they wanted to go buy stuff. And we're not doing that this year for safety's sake, for COVID. But also, think about it, I know you like to buy the Christmas, when somebody actually asked where they were and the usher said, oh, we're not doing that, we're buying gift cards. She goes, well, I want to do the Christmas tree, and walked out. So I know you like buying the presents, everybody likes, that's a nice fun thing to do. But now we're giving gift cards to the parents so they can buy stuff that they know their kids will like. Think of it that way. But we really are hurting this year. There's a lot of need. So please, if you can donate Visa cards, Walmart cards, Target cards, we have until this Sunday to drop them off into that little letters for Santa box that's in the gathering area. And then the other program. Well, it's the same program.
Well, it's the same program, and it's really two ways. First of all, for a lot of people who do not feel comfortable coming into church, there will be a drive-by drop-off Saturday and Sunday after Thanksgiving, November 28th, November 29th, from 1 to 3 o'clock. You just drive right by. There'll be members of our youth ministry and other volunteers. We're using our baskets with the handles. So they won't even, you don't even have to put anything in anybody's hand. You just drop it in the basket and they'll take it. And we'll make sure it gets to the right family at the right time. Mm-hmm. So that is the drive by this coming weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. And again, also online through Parish Giving, which is our online Parish Giving service.
Yeah, that's, you could do
There are
online giving.
You can donate to both.
It was the Thanksgiving and the Christmas, but
Yeah.
I think Thanksgiving
is
probably done.
Is done, but
Yeah.
the Christmas is still available, and that will also allow us to assist families in need. So,
And I'll put the link to that in this also, in this post. But it's also in the email that we're sending out. We're now using flock notes, so weekly, we hope, you will get an email from us that has all the stuff that's going on, and also a link for online giving, so that you can donate to this Christmas program, or make that your weekly or monthly giving, yearly, whatever. All the parish collections are on there, and I signed up for that as soon as we got it. And it's just so easy, because I don't have to remember an envelope, I don't have to remember anything, it's automatic, you just set it up and it goes. So we'll put the link up for that too.
very good.
Jen, if you can remind everybody, if they don't receive the flock notes, they can self-subscribe on the website.
Okay.
Down the bottom.
All right, so that's on our website.
Yep. And down below, if you go all the way to the bottom, you will see on the right-hand side where you can actually provide your name, your email address, and your cell phone number. And the cell phone number is so that one of the future things that we're intending to do is to send texts out as appropriate, for different things
like
going on.
there's a snowstorm,
Right.
or this church is suddenly closed because of COVID, or something really good happens. Just yay. So if you want to sign up for that, you can through our website, or even if you're not sure how to do that, you can give the parish secretary a call, and she will be happy to get your email on there. But we're sending those out weekly, and so please pay attention to those. And if you don't want to get the email, you can unsubscribe on the bottom of the email that you get. Let's see.
Anything else?
I don't know, what was on your list?
My list is complete. And
Well, happy Thanksgiving. We were going to say happy
we
Thanksgiving.
were going to say happy Thanksgiving and enjoy. And again, I can't emphasize this enough, because you never know how plans are going to change. Please do not focus on what is different. Focus on what is, and give thanks to God.
Absolutely. All right, so happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving and a blessed Advent.
Yes, not lit yet.
Not yet.